Oh, what is happening, everyone? Working on a little project this evening. This is my niece's vehicle. This technically was her first RC car. This was given to her about 2 years ago. Just to give you a little backstory on it, this initially was my brother's vehicle. He bought this truck back in 1997, I want to say. This is a Tamiya Ford F150 4x4 stadium truck. It says circuit 1995 on the manual, if you can believe that. Oops, if we can get the focus in on that. There we go, in 1995. But it wasn't bought in 1995. I want to say my brother bought this truck at like 1997, 1998, somewhere in that area. But it's been around a good 20 years. Did a lot of work to this vehicle, everyone. But unfortunately, I did have it on camera too, but unfortunately I had a bad SD card and lost about 150 gigs worth of memory. And so that footage was on there as well, so that was some lost footage, unfortunately. So this evening, working on the truck, trying to lower the gearing. When we first started working on this truck, it's sad about that high off the ground. We put different tires and wheels on it. These are some RC four-wheel drive 1.55 mud thrashers, RC four-wheel drive 1.55 steel beadlock wheels. Here are our original tires right here. Same tread pattern as those RC four-wheel drive mud thrashers, basically. These are the original tires that came on this truck. 20 years old, roughly. Rock hard, plastic wheel, tire glued to the wheel. So nevertheless, we have these new ones on there. A lot more give, way more flexible. Like I said, same style tread pattern. And so that should be good on that for the moment. Initially, guys, we were going to make this vehicle, we're going to try to make it into a rock crawler, if you can believe that. But after hindsight's 2020, after looking at everything, looking at our flat belly pan, not much ground clearance, open differentials, front and rear, digging into the truck and noticing that it had plastic gears, front and rear, and it's a super old chassis, a TA01 or a TA02. I'm not too sure which one it is, but one of those. Nevertheless, not too sure if you can even get parts for this vehicle anymore at this point in time. You know, or aftermarket gears like steel gears or something like that. I'm pretty sure they probably don't make them. So keeping all that in mind, we just decided to make it into a reliable trail truck if we could, and slow it down as much as possible. So we had gone out and bought a RC four-wheel drive 35 turn motor for it. Just a cheap $10 motor, bushings, no bearings. I'm going to lower the gearing to the lowest possible position that we can possibly put in that, which is a 16-tooth gear. Has very limited gearing choices on that as far as pinion gears go. If we can take a look at our manual here real quick, just turning into page 5. You see our motor position. The motor kind of sits countersunk inside the transmission. It has a little plastic guide that goes on the front of this with a bunch of different selection holes, so you can adjust your gear lash right here for different size pinion gears. Now our only choices are 16 through a 21, and that's all the choices that we have, and there's really no alignment for aligning up your pinion gear and adjusting gear lash. You're limited to just this motor mount right here. Once it's sitting inside here, there's no access to it. You can't see the gear lash, especially once you get that spur gear back in place. You just can't even see the pinion gear. It's just totally hidden. So you're relying on all this stuff to be correct. There's this little plastic spacer right here. Sorry guys for being all over the map. They show this little plastic spacer right there for getting your pinion gear in the right position on the motor. I'd imagine that being a Tamiya pinion gear, if you have an aftermarket pinion gear, that might be a different different depth there, you know, it might be a different size gear. So here's that little plastic spacer, and that would go in between the pinion gear and the motor to get that pinion gear in the right spot on the shaft, so it's aligned properly with the spur gear right there. So sorry to be bouncing all over the map on that, everyone. So that's what I'm currently working on. Didn't have a 16-tooth pinion gear. My brother went out and ordered a 16-tooth pinion gear, 48 pitch. We're putting on this Traxxas pinion gear, part number 2416. And that is a 16-tooth, 48 pitch with set screw. So we're going to go ahead and get that installed on the truck and see how that treats it. Yeah, I wasn't initially going to do a video on this truck, everyone, just because it's a little side project, but, you know, I figured it's an old truck, and, you know, and people haven't seen one in a long time, so might as well just do a video on it for craps and giggles. So there's where our motor sits, recessed into that gearbox there, and you can see with that little bit of metal shavings going on down in there. Gonna have to clean that mess out, apparently. But you can see where that spur gear is sitting, a plastic cover on the other side for the transmission there. Leaving you with no access. There's where your screws go to hold your motor in place. So there's no line of sight on your actual alignment with your spur gear. There's our spur gear. Here's what I'm getting on with plastic. We got a plastic bevel gear going to a plastic bevel gear on the side of the spur gear. Another couple sets of plastic idlers here going down to our differential. Yeah, looking at that drive shaft, everyone, just super small and spindly. Smaller diameter than a coat hanger. Coat hanger is a little bit larger diameter than this, so don't want to put too much too much stress on that. Another reason why I didn't want to lock up the differentials front and rear, along with the plastic gears. You know, just asking for trouble. So just gonna leave everything with open diffs front and rear, and run our little drive shaft here. Would definitely be happier if it had something like that in there. But that is just a little bit too short, I think. I don't know, I might be able to make it work. Might be able to get that to go in there. Definitely a lot heavier. But I think these cups are plastic, so I'd have to cut notches in these cups to accommodate these dog bones on the end of this prop shaft here. And I think these are plastic, so don't think I really want to do that unless it's a last ditch effort. I think we'll just run this one for the time being. If we have a problem with it, or if it pops out or something, then maybe I'll think about modifying this and getting that to fit in there. So back to the gearing, everyone. We'll go ahead and slap that gear on the motor and try to get that in place. So looking at the job at hand, everyone, before we get in too far. All right, so we got our motor. We need to put this little cover on right here, slap our pinion gear on it, put our little plastic spacer on there, and get that sitting in the right position. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. All right, so per the manual, we've got our little plastic dust cover on here, or fiberglass dust cover, carbon fiber dust cover, whatever kind of dust cover we have here for the motor. We have our little pinion gear adjuster on there. Pinion gear slid down on top of that adjuster. Just a matter of tightening down our grub screw and crossing our fingers and hoping that that is going to be in the right position. Since this is a Traxxas pinion gear and not a Tamiya gear, not too sure if that's going to be sitting in the right spot. So we'll give it a try and cross our fingers here, slap it in the truck, and see if it's sitting in the right spot. Now our next step before slapping this together is to make sure that we move our motor screws into the right hole. So we got to move it over to 16 right over here. Same with this one, move it back over to 16. That way we can guarantee our motor is sitting in the right position for proper gear lash. Alright, well, we've got that all assembled. Let's slap this baby in the truck. Alright, here's what I expected or suspected. We've got our Traxxas pinion gear on here using our Tamiya measuring methods. And different motor, obviously not a Tamiya motor. So right now we have the motor in place, and that pinion gear is resting on the side of the transmission here. I can push the motor in a little bit here. Get some of that end play from the armature and everything in the motor there. So we're going to have to slide that pinion gear back just a little bit further in order to get proper gear lash going on. Well, alright everyone. So after pulling this out and popping it back in a couple times and dropping the spur gear in there a couple times, got to the point where we're right up against the edge of this plastic, but we have enough room to get a piece of paper in there, fold it in half, so we have enough room to slide that in there. And having the pinion gear in place, everything seems to line up. Or having the spur gear in place, everything seems to line up. And let's just throw that spur gear in there real quick. Drop her in here. You're not going to get much of an angle for seeing this, but if you look down there, you can just see the edge of our pinion gear sticking out on the side. And you're not going to be able to see anything through here, unfortunately. but she is pretty much lined right up in there, as far as I can tell. The pinion gear is going a little bit further over past the spur gear here, so like I said, the pinion gear is so close to that plastic case, you can see the gap on the case right now and how far away the spur gear is away from that. The pinion gear is a paper's width away from that plastic side, so the pinion gear overlaps the spur gear slightly. You can see that we have some overlapping on the back, we have some overlapping on the other side, so we're all good to go. Just a matter of tightening down that grub screw on the pinion gear, tightening down the screws on the motor, and slapping them back together. Alright, we got our motor in it. Everything's all screwed back down. These are our two motor screws. Screwing into plastic, that little bracket that attaches to the motor is plastic, so make sure you don't over tighten these. Once again, very old chassis, so I doubt anybody else is going to be working on one. Being a TA01 chassis. We have our spur gear installed. Go ahead and get our cover put back on here. Get this thing screwed back down, reattached. So loosen up a screw back there for my shock towers, or for this custom shock tower. The screws stick out just a little bit, so it's preventing me from getting this cover on all the way. There we go. Get that in the right position. Seems very odd working with Phillips screws and not Allen wrenches or Allen screws. So used to whipping out the old Team Associated wrench there and using that. It's been a long time since I actually had to pull out a Phillips screwdriver. Got one last screw here for the actual cover in the back corner, which is right back here. Sorry about any kind of focus issues there. So we have all those in place. Screwing it into plastic, making sure not to strip anything out. Don't want to overturn anything. That is good. Matter of getting our antenna tube put back in place here, which is right here. Don't need much torque on this one. It's just holding the antenna tube in. You do snug back down my shock towers back here. Reattach the tires using some Boom Racing 8mm wheel hexes on here, some wheel spacers, just to kind of widen the stance on this truck a little bit. Yeah, those old Boom Racing wheel nuts here, you really got to tighten those down. Especially the ones over here on the driver's side of the vehicle, they tend to loosen up first. No nylon thread insert in there to lock the nut on there, so really a little bit of blue Loctite or something on there would probably be ideal to help hold these in place, but I'm open to saying that won't be spinning fast enough. I usually carry a box wrench with me, so just in case something loosens up. So there we go, we got her all installed. Alright everyone, there she is, all back together. Positive to positive, negative to negative. She's all good to go. Middle of the night, so we're not going to do any testing with it right now. I'll do a video with it tomorrow and attach it to this so we can get an actual run video. Not supposed to be rolling a vehicle, but we'll give it a little roll just to make sure. Yeah. Doesn't sound too bad. Sounds pretty good right there. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that we've got good gear lash going on with that. And yeah, we'll take this baby out and see what she can do. Alright, testing time I suppose. We've got the old Tamiya stadium truck here out on the adventure course. I don't expect too much out of this truck right at the moment. Open differentials front and rear, plastic gears all around, really spindly drive shafts from earlier in the video showing that drive shaft or the prop shaft going from the main transmission up to the front differential. So I'm not really expecting too much out of this truck, but we'll just give it a little run and see how she holds up on the adventure course. Ooh, a little belly pan snag there on that first little obstacle. And we are snagged up on our belly pan. Left front tire spinning, right rear tire spinning. We'll give it a little push here or try to back off of it. And throttle persuasion to get through. And we're through that. I don't expect too much coming into our rocks. Once again, open diffs all the way around. I don't really want to beat on the truck too much just because it's my niece's vehicle. Circuit 1995 TA01 chassis. We got our back tire snag back there. We have the open differential blues, so we're just going to pick it up and move it past this one. Alright, so we just gave it a little lift to the top of the rocks here. I'm going to try to avoid that water feature with this truck, if we can. And we have both tires on the driver's side spinning. Oops. If we back up too far, we're going to be swimming. Yeah, the old Tamiya Stadium truck. Not doing so well on the adventure course. With those open differentials and next to no ground clearance. Winding our way around towards these chuck holes, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get buried in here, so we're just going to try to avoid them if we can. Maybe try to run that berm. Alright, little throttle persuasion and we made it through. Coming out of the tunnel, heading towards our log obstacle. Probably not going to be able to make it over this. And unfortunately, I can't really get a good angle here just because of the sun and shadows. Yeah, it's looking pretty rough. I don't want to beat up this truck, so I think we're just going to bypass these logs if we can. Little bypass route. And we're stuck on that little stick right there. Past the logs, moving through this little bit of river rock on our way to our brick steps. This is pretty tough for this little vehicle to maneuver through all these rocks. Try and take it easy on it once again. Gonna try to make it through this brick section here, but that is some pretty gnarly ground, especially for this small truck and those small tires. So we'll give it a shot here and see how she does. And we are hung up. Alright, so once again everyone, niece's vehicle, I don't want to wreck it. I just bypass this little staggered brick section here, and we'll head into the rocks up ahead. Heading into our boulders. Yeah, this truck really isn't crawling through anything. It needs a little juice of speed to make it through obstacles. Open differentials. Well, it's pretty safe to say if it's getting stuck right here, it's probably going to get stuck there and all along the way there, but we'll bypass a little bit of this rough stuff and see if we can get back into it up here. And we are stuck just trying to get back into it. To be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised it even made it this far. Oh, I can't believe it made it over that. This old TA01 or TA02 chassis, not sure exactly which one it is, but more of a rally car chassis than a Baja truck or a stadium truck. Really not meant to be going through this kind of stuff. Surprisingly, for what it is, it's not doing too bad, really. We're going to try to bypass those stumps right there. I just don't see good things happening with that area. We'll actually probably bypass that brick section as well and take our little cheater path on the side. Rolling down our cheater path. Sorry about the shadows, everyone. Once again, end of the day, sun falling down in the sky there, sun setting. Right now I'm having some steering servo issues. The servo is really not strong enough to counteract the truck. And that is that old 1990s edition Futaba servo, the S3003 series. Not wanting to get onto the brick hill. We'll have to put it on there by hand. Yeah, let's see how she does on the brick hill. Not bad, really. Get a roll on it. Might be able to make it. We're almost up it. Oh, there we go. Little rolling start, but we made it. Truck's a little narrow to be running on the bricks there. I have a hard time staying on the course. Didn't exactly measure it out for this vehicle. Now, this hill can be a pain in the butt even with locked up differentials and good tires. So I really don't expect it to even climb up this one. I'm driving one-handed, of course, everyone, so bear with me here. Almost. Oh, there we go. We made it. Yeah, one-handed. I work our way around these next little staggered rocks and bricks and whatnot. Probably gonna be murder on this little truck. I think we just got snagged on our battery there. The old stadium truck is definitely not meant for this. And we are snagged up here, so I'm just going to give it a helping hand through here, everyone. A lot of gnarly little rocks glued up on top of these bricks. And a lot of snag points on our truck, so we'll just lift it past this portion. Alright, moving into our next boulder section. Going to try to find the easiest path through here. Normally when I'm rolling through here in my trucks, my crawlers, I try picking the hardest path available. This one I just want to see if I can make it through. We're getting both tires on the passenger side spinning. I definitely could lock up the back differential on this truck and that would help things out. Locking the front would help as well. Once again, plastic gears throughout the vehicle, so I really don't want to run the risk of breaking anything, plus not being able to buy, maybe not being able to get gears for it anymore. We are torturing the truck trying to get it through here. Now, truth be told, I wasn't even going to take it on this course, just because I knew it was going to be too much for it. But ultimately, it's a real good test, so. The course isn't exactly all that challenging, more of a proving grounds than anything else. It's definitely proving tough for the stadium truck. But definitely not the toughest course by any means. And we are stuck on our belly pan right there. A little throttle persuasion to get us through all that mess. Heading over to our log bridge. And not going to lie to you guys, pretty much safe to assume that it's not going to be able to make it up this either. Yeah, trying to just get it rolling and staying on it. Some big gaps in between these logs, and these small 155 tires are definitely finding them. Alright, well, I don't want to break anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and lift it. Lifted straight to the top. Alright, moving through the bricks. Our brick off cambers here. Especially this spot right here, good spot to snag a vehicle up. We'll roll through it. And we made it down to the dirt pile. Not even going to mess with that one. And on to our brick bridge. Now this one's definitely going to be a tough nut to crack. Alright, I say that, and we walked right up it. Little belly pan snag there on some of those rocks, but a little throttle persuasion got us through. And we are off it. Over to our teeter-totter. Oh, truck's kind of narrow, everyone. The front tire's falling off that edge. I'm actually surprised it's even getting this far, but we are moving along. I'm trying to creep it here. Have to forgive my shadow, everyone. I'm trying to keep this truck online. It's very tight fit with this vehicle on the teeter-totter. Pretty much just riding on those two inner boards. But she is making it up, which is very impressive. Once again, you really don't need all that much in the way of four-wheel drive. You just need to be able to get the power to the ground. And she has made it all the way up to the top, and not enough weight to tip it. So we're just going to balance our front end here and manually tip this teeter-totter. Whoops. Yeah. Well, that's where she sits. Trying to hold my foot on the teeter-totter here. Keep this thing held down. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, really, that it even made it up and over the teeter-totter. I've had WL Toys having a hell of a time on that teeter-totter. And this thing's got open diffs front and rear. Moving into our bombed out section. This could be good, this could be bad. It's all pretty washed out right at the moment. We had a lot of rain the last couple days. And we are bottomed out. We'll hand a gag, get our belly pan over that hump. And let's see if we can power through the rest of this. And stuck again. Little helping hand past that. And we are heading into our rocky switchback. And getting stuck right at the entrance. Pretty tight corner here. It's going to be a tough one with this truck. Stuck on our belly pan again. And a servo that's not working too well. Alright, another little helping hand there. Yeah, with this truck, once you get it moving, you pretty much just want to keep it moving. As soon as you stop, you're done for. Yeah, initially, guys and gals, we were going to make this truck into a crawler, or try to make it into a crawler. And then after really checking it out and seeing how much suspension and ground clearance it had, I decided just to try to make it into a trail truck. But even now, after changing the motor and the gearing and the new tires and whatnot, I'm just with these open differentials, I'm not seeing. I don't think it's gonna be that good of a trail truck. Put it that way. I think we're just gonna be spending a lot of time doing stuff like this, getting stuck and fighting the vehicle all the way through. Yep, trying to use throttle persuasion to get it through. Right now we have both our tires in the air on that side, and that is it. Alright, another little hand to God on those. That poor Futaba servo is not liking this. Yeah, this is like trying to take a lowrider out rock crawling. Getting snagged on that little rock right there. And another belly pan. Into our log section. And this can definitely be a rough section on a vehicle. Those logs are as slick as a booger, and you know, they're small little obstacles, but when you try climbing two of them at the same time, it's like a double ridge, and it's almost straight up and down. And try to side skirt these as much as possible. All right. Yeah, definitely not a crawler, everyone. Using throttle persuasion to get over most of these hills. Alright everyone, that is going to do it. That is the very first run with this vintage 1995 Tamiya F150 stadium truck running through the adventure course. Initial thoughts, I was going to try to make the truck into a crawler. Threw that idea out the window. I was going to try to make it into a reliable trail truck. But after running it on the crawler course here, I think I'm going to throw that idea out the window as well. Probably just keep this thing around as a goof around vehicle for my niece. Just so she's got something that she can play around with. So that's going to do it, everyone. Very much appreciated for y'all checking out the video, and we will see you all on the next one.